everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Powerful Stuff. We are here today to give you the utmost power that you didn't know you needed for yourself, for others, for how you navigate the world. So let's get to it, guys. I feel like I've been spilling my little heart out to you the last few weeks with the pregnancy journey, when it's ready, or when we know we're ready to grow. And another topic that I wanted to bring up today that is super important and powerful is what happens when something is misaligned. Dun dun dun. Sometimes we hold on to something because we want to see the best in it, or maybe we're afraid to let it go. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's an opportunity that we are really excited about. But then signs start to come to the forefront that it's not aligned and your spidey senses are going off, but you know, you don't want to release it. And so something then happens within the universal cosmic forces where it forces your hand, right? Maybe you're fired from that job. Maybe that person breaks up with you. And it can feel like rejection when you don't do it on your own terms in your own time. But actually, what is happening is the universe is saying, hey, you are dragging your feet on this. This is not aligned for you. And I'm going to clear your path for you so something greater can come in. So it's in these moments, not to say like, oh my gosh, like I wasn't even that into him. Why did he break up with me? Like, this really must mean I suck. Or like, I didn't even like that job. Like, fuck. Like, I guess this isn't, what I meant for, or like I'm worthless, whatever those like negative or shaming stories are. But it's actually to say, wow, I'm so grateful that I am divinely protected by the universe. Like, what can I learn from that situation? How could I have shown up better? How could I have trusted my intuition more? And then how is it creating even more space for something more aligned? Maybe I've always said I wanted to do that creative project, but now it forces my hand to do it, right? So it's saying to the universe, thank you. Thank you for helping me take action. It's kind of like that pushy friend who just sees the best in you and they're like, you're fucking ready to do it. I'm going to push you out of the nest. It's time to start using your wings and fly and get rid of the safety net. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Because you might be like, Meredith, that all sounds great, but how do I do that? How do I really lean into that trust? How do I accept it? Well, have no fear. Isn't that beautiful? Powerful stuff is here. Our old sublet left this beautiful little chime. So before we get in, I just want to share with a little anecdote that I went through this week that kind of made me think of it. And of course, I had a few clients where things were happening that kind of forced their hand to take action on the things that they really wanted to do. And so that's where I got the idea for this episode. So all of that's to say, as I told you guys on some of my last episodes, like I'm shifting out of coaching and into speaking and facilitation, and of course, motherhood, which I'm so excited. Little baby boy is in the room with us now, almost 22 weeks, crazy times, over halfway there, living on a prayer. But yeah, I wanted to shift into speaking and facilitating. And I had this opportunity come up that I said yes to initially about facilitating a retreat over what would have been this weekend. And it was in this beautiful area of California that I love, in Northern California. And Spencer and I, we're like, perfect, I'll go lead the retreat. Spencer will come with me. Then we'll plan our whole baby moon after. And I want to be leading more facilitation things. Anyways, so it all sounded great. And I kind of peripherally knew the person who was putting it on. But, I told them like what my price is for my facilitation services, and they agreed. But then they kept pushing back delaying payment. And because I kind of, I guess, we had been in similar circles at some points in time, I wanted to assume the best. And I really was like looking forward to our baby moon happening on the other side of the retreat and just like leaning into more retreats. So usually like I don't do any work until the first payment is received, as with business practices for any service provider, because I'm also so big on boundaries, and I teach my clients this as well. If you're a client listening, you know this. But for some reason, this one, like I was kind of letting that vision of like, oh, perfect, I'm getting more inbounds for facilitation, and like our baby moon is after this. And I kind of let those like little things like override my usual boundaries and was like, okay, like, yeah, you can delay payment. You can delay payment, like happy to receive it this Sunday. And things kind of like felt off. And I started like needing to kind of, I felt like it was a situation where more was being asked of me than I agreed to. I led a free experience to help them recruit people for this retreat and sent it out to my community, even though it wasn't in our contract. Like in our contract was just to host the retreat and to offer some thoughts around like structuring and programming. And then lo and behold, 2 days before the retreat, 2 days before I was supposed to leave, they said they couldn't pay me and would I be willing to do it for exposure. And you guys, when I say that my blood was boiling, my blood was boiling. You could have cooked spaghetti in my blood in like 30 seconds because that's how hot it was. And of course, I like maintained composure, but I was just like more than anything really bummed and upset at myself for not paying attention to earlier signs where I would have been like, this isn't aligned, something doesn't feel right here, where I usually would have pushed back. But for whatever reason, with, like I said, the traveling, the excitement of wanting to lead retreats, like kind of knowing this person peripherally in different Venice communities, didn't put my foot down sooner and say, like, I'm not leading this workshop. I'm not sending it out to my email list until I receive my payment. So all of that's to say it was a huge, like, re-lesson for me, one that I learned in my earlier days of like coaching and being a solopreneur. And I was humbled to learn it again here many years into the game. But here we are up leveling. But it was just such a reminder for me of like, wow, I had like spidey senses earlier on into this engagement with this person that something wasn't sitting right, something wasn't going right, and I kept going with it and I kept giving, right, which was my choice to keep giving information around my workshops, my intellectual property around how I structure retreats, and the connection experience and magic that I love doing there. And I felt so, I'll take you guys through the emotional journey because we're close like that. I felt so hard done by, like that. I was like, well, fuck this. Like, how dare they, how dare they not acknowledge me and my value? And then I was like stewing in that for a second. I'm like, I need to do some shadow work around this. What would I tell my clients? And I would do Byron Katie's worksheet, the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, which I can't recommend enough if you just Google Judge Your Neighbor, where you put in all the thoughts about this person that's triggered you. Like, I'm so mad at blank for not acknowledging me. And you actually turn that around and you replace their name with yours. So it's like, I'm so mad at me for not acknowledging me, right? And I had to ask myself, how is that true? Well, it's true because I wasn't acknowledging me at the beginning. I wasn't getting paid. I wasn't doing my usual business practices of like, no, like once I get paid, then I'll do the work, right? Or the half up front, half after the retreat agreement that we had. And I wasn't acknowledging me. I was giving more work for free before I had been paid with like just like promise of, good intention to fulfill it. And so all of that's to say, gosh, you guys, like when I did that Byron Katie worksheet, it's like, I'm not acknowledging me. Okay. Like, what did I learn about this? I learned that, I need to check in with myself around these boundaries. And while I usually have them, this time I didn't. And what was different this time? Well, I had God bless little, I've realized, guys, that I started saying like, bless little Meredith's heart, or bless their heart. So I guess that's the new powerful stuff ism of the moment. But I was reminded like little Meredith just like was excited to have these new, you know, gear shifting into more retreats as I'm transitioning from coaching with my last ever upgrade, which begins mid-September. So if you're listening for that, yeah, would love to have you for the final upgrade. Hurrah. But all of that's to say, I learned from that. And I also didn't want to beat myself up about it. Like kind of like you wouldn't want to be, talking really like sternly or harshly to a child. It's like, okay, little Meredith was excited for that. She was giving this person the benefit of the doubt, and there's nothing wrong with that. And here's what we learned, and here's how we're moving forward, right? Because as I've said in previous episodes, the only thing we can control is what choice we do next. We can't go back in time. We cannot change if someone else values us or how quickly they process their own patterns or triggers or like say sorry if they ever do, right? So, what can I accept about this situation? I accept that this person didn't pay me like they said they were going to do. I accept that I'm disappointed. I accept that I don't feel, valued by them. I accept that I did work before I was paid and that didn't feel good. And then after the acceptance rampage, as I like to say, what is the choice? My choice is to learn from this, or as my husband say, view it as a cheap lesson. My choice is to decide like how we want to modify our baby moon and still salvage that. So yeah, we're going to do a little 2-part baby moon now instead of driving all the way up to Northern California again. We're going to do Santa Barbara this week and then do another Northern California moment in October, which then gives us both time to like work and me focus on my upgrade launch and my husband focus on his stuff. Oh my God, it's 3:33 while I'm recording this. Guys, is it a sign? Everything's working out for us. So anyways, and my choice is to make the most out of this weekend that I'm here in LA instead of facilitating this retreat. My choice is to double down on best business practices moving forward. And my choice is also like moving forward with retreats and facilitation. Like if I'm getting an off feeling about something or my spidey senses are going off, to say something sooner. And it's okay, kind of like with, you know, dating prospects or like prospective clients. It's like, if it's not worth it for me, like I am in an abundance mindset. So there will be other more aligned people that I want to work with and collaborate with that I know we're going to really trust each other and value each other and honor our contract. I don't need to say yes to everything that is presented to me, right? Which is a sign of high self-worth for whatever else you guys might be going through as well. And then the other thing that I did is I gotta always take it back to Carolyn Elliott. I did a little Carolyn Elliott existential kink, right? What part of me loves this? What part of me loves being the victim or loves feeling hard done by? Because I was so angry and I was like, how dare she do that to me? Like, I'm not doing this for exposure. Like, this is my established practice. Like, yeah. Anyways, and I felt so annoyed that she took like we already had many discussions about like the flow of the event. I gave some of my IP that I was going to be doing for the workshop so they could make worksheets from it. So they had that. I don't know if they actually use that themselves or not. Like I have no way of knowing, but it just has to be a release because it's like that Buddha quote of like being angry at someone is swallowing poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Right. So I did an existential kink of like what part of me loves being the victim. Well, I love being the victim because then I get to stew in it and then I get to be like, it's all their fault. And then I get to be like, well, of course it didn't work out for me because this person did this. And it gives me an excuse to keep from maybe taking even bigger leaps, right? So to being on even bigger stages or doing even bigger things. And the more we stew on the people that wronged us in these like smaller areas, like certainly the longer we stay in that smaller area versus like, okay, like they got a lot of free work from me, but they're not going to take any more ounce of my time. Like no one can do what I do the way I do it. So even if they took my workshops and used my methodology, like no one can do it the way I do it. I have that special sauce and I am doubling down on that and I am fucking trusting in that and I am moving forward with that. And it's a reminder for me to not just like facilitate at other people's retreats, but like really light this fire as I'm declaring, as I'm shifting from coaching to live events to like do more of my own retreats with like my upgrade methodology and my other things that I've curated. So watch this space. So it was a whole journey around that of like, okay, now that I've made this choice, I'm choosing to take it as a learning for best practices. I'm choosing not to give it any more attention. I'm choosing to make a great weekend here. I contacted a few friends and we had a really fun game night last night. I did some group workouts with people and brunches and just like a really full social weekend. My husband and I saw some viewings for a new house because we're shifting houses so we can have a little nursery for our baby boy. So made it productive. And then we're like, we're still do a little getaway in Santa Barbara next week because we earned it. And so we don't have too much FOMO while our other Venice friends are at Burning Man. Shout out to everyone at Burning Man. Bless your burn, as they say. Missing them and feeling the energy of the playa within me right now. So that's kind of like what I did for this situation. And not to mention, guys, I also did a little somatic release, as you know, that I've expressed in the past, like feel it to heal it. So there was a lot of anger. So I did some like shaking and dancing and air screaming, like, fuck yeah. Oh my gosh, I just knocked over some cleansing room spray. So just cleanse the energy with that. But wish you guys could smell it too. It smells so good. But all that's to say, yeah, I did a little somatic release around it, had a little vent session to a friend. But I think vent sessions are so healthy, by the way, when you, A, don't overdo it, right? You choose like 1 or 2 lockbox friends, and B, end it with like, how did I learn from this? What are my next steps? Where you're not like slandering someone or gossiping about them, but it's, I think, very healthy to vent about what happened to you, how it made you feel, and where do you go from there, right? So that is my definition of vent. And yeah, after the acceptance and choice, the shadow work, the somatic release, I was like, okay, what are my next steps? How am I going to take a big swing from this? How is this going to be actually a trampoline, a springboard to what I want to create next? And I already feel like since I did that, I got a few more signups for my upgrade group coaching program. I've felt really creatively inspired and did some work for our September 4th Comedy Meets Coaching Powerful Stuff live at Kawahana. So if you're around, I'd love to see you there. I wrote a new sketch. I played guitar this weekend. I'm about to go do a little cheeky ocean dip. So all of that's to say, I'm like, I'm going to make this like the best decision ever. I know this was happening for me, and it spared me a bullet from later on down the line, because Martha Beck has this book. She's Oprah's life coach, the Path of Integrity, I believe. And she always uses it. She uses 2 airplane analogies, which I've shared on the pod before. But one is, if an airplane is not aligned, even in the slightest, right? If something within the airplane is even ever so slightly off, there's no way that like the ground control is letting that airplane take off until it's fixed and fully in alignment. Because once it's in the air and like one little thing goes wrong, like everything starts going wrong, right? And so it's like, why not have that same level of integrity within ourselves and our relationships, and like who we deal with on a professional level, and who we let into our energy or our space. And the other alignment analogy she uses is like, when you're flying from LA to DC, if you turn the plane nose, I think it's even like 1%, it ends up leading you to New York City. So like instead of DC. So it's like these things compound over time, and it really either saves us a bullet, or not either. It saves us a bullet, and it also allows space for something even greater. And that's the most powerful thing, because trust only exists in times of uncertainty. And so that was my experience this week. It was like same, but different to like the relationship ones, but I have so many of those, right? Like my British boyfriend, who I thought I was in love with in my early 20s, like cheated on me. But had he not, it wouldn't have set me out on this path of self-love that I ended up coaching hundreds of people on, and ended up, leading me to my soulmate Spencer. And that breakup also led me to one of my best friends who also dated him, Sarah DeWarren. Shout out Sarah, who I wrote my song Alchemy with. That's an example. An example of shutting down my beverage company, like, was really tough to just like grapple with, like raising money. But I also kind of was like, I don't know if I'm meant for the alcohol industry. I really like being around people, talking with people, making that my bread and butter. And I shut it down. And the week I shut it down, I met my husband, Spencer, and I went full-time into coaching and launched my first upgrade cohort shortly after, which is so fucking crazy. And so all of that's to say, with other clients, like the same thing has been true. I've had clients who were like let go of a job at a job and felt really bummed about it. But then it kind of like forced their hand to start putting their creative work out for the first time. And like that was like made them extremely excited. And I've also had a few other clients, like similar situation. They were fired and then like are now working at a higher pay grade and a higher title and just a way less toxic, way better work environment than they were at that last job. And sometimes, again, it can feel like an ego blow when that person breaks up with us or that job fires us first when we were kind of thinking about it. But it's like the universe can read our inner thoughts. And they were like, okay, you were dragging your feet. And I wasn't sure if you were ever going to do it because you were kind of like, well, when maybe this happens, then I'll do it. And it kind of pushes you off the cliff. And it's like, spread your wings, fly. You might fall a little at first, but I believe in you. So all of that's to say, my question to you guys is, what is the thing that is not aligned? Maybe like the job has already fired you. Maybe the person's already broken up with you. Maybe you already had a situation like mine where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this business thing happened. I should have known better. Or maybe it's percolating. Maybe you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, deep down, I know that like if I don't quit my job, like maybe I'm checked out and like they can sense that. And like that's how they'll like let me go, you know. But whether it's already happened or you kind of feel like this could happen, right? What is the thing that is not in alignment? And how do I know it's not in alignment? How is my body telling me? Do I get tense when I think about it? Do I get a sore throat when I think about expressing myself? How is my body kind of telling me? What are the signals it's giving me that it's not aligned? And then if it already happened, like what were the signs that I ignored? What were the signs that I ignored that it wasn't aligned? And why did I ignore them? What was I afraid of at the time? Right? It's important to kind of retroactively look at what was I afraid of? What was I holding on to? What did I fear would happen if I did it on my own or like took that leap on my own? What am I grateful for or why am I grateful that it happened the way it did? Why am I grateful that it ended up panning out the way that it did? And why was that actually the perfect time? Why is now the perfect time for it to happen that way? Right? So these are some questions around alignment. And then as I discussed before, especially if it's already happened, like accepting it. What do I accept? Go on your acceptance rampage. I accept that it sucks. I accept that I didn't feel valued. I accept that they can't see my value. I accept that X and Y and Z. And then what is my choice? Where do I go from there? I choose this. How do I break that negative feedback loop of thinking? And what is my new empowered story around it? I choose to make it the best decision ever. I choose to make it the best breakup ever. I choose to make it my creative renaissance, whatever it might be. And then the other two tactics that I mentioned that I did is that Byron Katie Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. What are my petty, annoyed, triggered observations about this person? And then when I put my name in place of their name, how is that true, right? As the example that I said with this person, I'm like, I'm annoyed at XYZ for not seeing my value. The truth was I was annoyed at me for not seeing my value, right? Because I gave them a lot of free work before I was paid, which I don't usually do. And I didn't stick up for myself sooner. I finally did, but like could have been sooner, right? And in a way, when I was stewing on it, I also wasn't fully sitting in my value because I was too busy being angry at them than being like, okay, fuck that. I'm going to redirect. I eventually got there, but those are all examples. So Byron Katie's Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, then existential kink, right? What part of me likes it? What part of me likes being in that job where like my boss is just such a mean girl or boy to me. And I just love getting bossed around because then I can complain about it to my friends and then say I don't have time to work on my creative venture. Have fun with it. Like I love existential kink because it allows us to kind of put some humor around when we start victimizing ourselves a little bit. So what sneaky part of you actually loves playing small or loves feeling like, you're the one who was wronged? And then of course, feel it to heal it. So what is that somatic release you need to do? Do you need to go to a rage room and let it out? Do you need to, have a good snot cry? Do you need to write them a letter and then burn it? What is something you can do to get that stuck energy out? Okay. So those are the steps. And I just want to tell you, if you made it this far, I'm fucking proud of you. Like, it's not easy when something happens to us first because we're like, wait, I wanted to control the situation. But it is such a blessing from the universe. I'm here to tell you, like, you deserve so much more than doing things that aren't in alignment or being with people who aren't like cherishing the person that you are professionally or romantically. So if it's clearing it out of your path, it's literally saying, you're ready for your upgrade. Do not settle, right? Like, I am taking it away from you. Like, it's kind of like, oh, like a toddler where they're getting their training wheels off. Like, you don't want to be a 15-year-old with training wheels. You eventually have to get them off. And so it's like the toddler knows it enough and they might fall at first. They're like, no, I don't want to get them off. But then they're so glad they got their training wheels off because it allowed them to expand. So that is what we are in the business of here. We'll end with a quick meditation. Actually, it's going to be a little bit more of a somatic movement, a few minute reset with like one little meditative drop in. So just whatever it is that feels misaligned, go ahead and put your hands in that part of your body. Breathe into it. Feel the heaviness of it start to pulse into your hands. And then start to dial up how it feels, how you're embodied in that negative misaligned feeling. Is it like a kind of hunchback energy? Your face is squished, you're making a sour lemon face, whatever it might be. And then go ahead and pull this heaviness out of your body like you're pulling out sticky tar, pulling it out, pulling it out, pulling it out, pulling it out, holding it in front of you. And then I just want you to rub your hands together, getting it all out. And I want you to air scream as you're doing it, and just like, honey, fuck yous. And then I want you to fling it to the earth and like stomp it out and stomp it out and stomp it out a little more till you get it all out. And place one hand on your heart, one hand on your stomach. Take a deep breath in. Exhale it out. Another breath in. Exhale it out. And first, we'll start by doing our Hawaiian prayer, Ho'oponopono, which clears the energy with the other person, whether it's a boss, a manager, an ex, a friend, whoever it might be that you're kind of who's involved in this misalignment, and just telling them, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And then imagine getting a pair of golden scissors and any remaining energetic threads to them. Go ahead and snip it away, snipping it away, letting it fall to the ground. Kind of putting both hands out as if love and light is coming out of your palm, sending it to them as they float away like a little balloon. And as they float away, just telling them, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be free. And as you feel them receive that golden light and float away, you can go ahead and place your hands back on your body, on your heart and stomach once more, and telling yourself, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be free. And then just forgiving your past self who was in the situation or who didn't act as early as they wanted to, and just saying, I forgive you. I forgive me. We made the best call we could at the time, and you had the best of intentions, and I forgive you. And then just asking that self, what have they learned? What have they learned? What have you learned? And as you hug them, feeling them morph, transform into your highest self, who always was, always will be, knows everything is unfolding perfectly. And then just asking them, why did it have to happen that way? What was it clearing my path for? What is the empowered true story? Trusting whatever they say. Thanking them. And then asking them yourself, what is the perfect choice to make moving forward now? To clear my energy, to step into that bigger swing. What is the perfect choice? Thanking yourself, thanking them, knowing that it's happening for you. This is all happening for you. Maybe even telling yourself one more time as you give yourself a hug, this is all happening for me. This is all happening for me. As you take another breath in, reach both hands up to the sky. Exhale, sigh it out. Hands to heart center. That was powerful, guys. Wow, we really processed a lot there. And as I've said in past episodes, right before we're about to expand into the next version of ourselves, the universe gives us a test to see if we can operate at that level. And sometimes the tests will be feeling like rejection or misalignment or it not feeling good, but us needing to stick up for ourselves and having to let something go that wasn't aligned so we could trust in the thing that was going to come in, right? Sometimes that requires letting things go and having space where that next lever, that next job, that next opportunity isn't lined up yet, but we know we are so worth it, even within ourselves, than to take something that's not aligned and that we're going to reach our hand down and be pulled down to a level that we've already graduated from. No, thank you. So all that's to say, you are doing great. You are passing the test. It might feel painful. It might feel scary as you expand. But know that, it's how you choose to respond and the story you choose to make of it, the meaning you choose to ascribe to it after. So I'm so excited to hear what your tests are, how you are elevating, how you are passing with golden stars. And as I mentioned earlier, guys, my final upgrade is starting in 2 weeks. It was so fucking special graduating the 10th cohort. I can't tell you the incredible shifts, tears, lifelong friendships that were formed in this last upgrade. And this next one is already, as I mentioned, halfway full. So if you're getting the ping and you're like, could this be the right time? Maybe yes, maybe no. Chances are it's in your field for a reason. I would love to talk to you and end my upgrade era of these specific coaching containers. We're always going to be upgrading, guys, with you. And I will see you next week for more powerful stuff. Hey, you. Thank you for coming on this powerful journey with me. I hope it was as powerful for you as it was for me. And if it was, it would mean the world to me if you rate, review, and subscribe to Powerful Stuff so I can keep bringing you the goods. We can keep going on this transformative journey together. And if there's powerful stuff that you want to share with me, with the Powerful Stuff community, tag us on Instagram at That's Powerful Stuff or the Meredith Baker. And I look forward to seeing you next week for more powerful stuff.